Hope all is well. So you guys can hear me? That's good. Good morning, Adrian Dupree. Hope you all are ready for a brand new trading week. And we are ready to get this party started. So let's kick this off with the pre-market. And good morning, Sonia on Tiny. The Dow futures currently is down 0.12%. S&P futures down 0.28%. Nas futures down 0.52%. Stock futures slipped to start shortened trading week. Good morning, Sizzling. Europe last reported DAX up 0.05%. FTSE down 0.39%. CAC down 0.28%. FTSE Milano was up 0.35%, and stocks was down 0.27%. So the European markets was lower, and Kingfisher slips after profit warning. Direct line plunges 14%. Asia mostly down. ASX 200, which is Australia, was up 0.53%. The Nikkei was down 1.16%, which was the most. Kospi was down 0.40%. Hong Kong HSI was down 0.16%, and Shanghai down 0.71%. All right, they had Asia Pacific markets mostly lower as investors digest inflation data from the region. So, as I always say, markets are, all of these economies are kind of mixed together in some ways. So what happens over in Europe can affect America, depending on what it is. But definitely we have people investing in different countries. So some of those other Fed type stuff in other countries definitely makes a difference in some way. And we're at the bell. Russell 2K was down 1.27%. And then the VIX currently is up slightly, $13.50. That's where it's at. Increased 3.37%. In terms of our Forex calendar for today, we had a yellow folder at 8:25 Eastern, which was a FOMC member Bostic speaking. And then at 10 o'clock, we have an orange folder, new home sales. All right. For those who are joining or may not be aware of these designations, the yellow folder is essentially low impact to, let's say, the economy, or you will say the economy. And then the orange folder is, kind of medium. And then the red folder is, more impact, or the highest level of impact. Impact might be the wrong word, but for investing.com, so this is for Forex Factory calendar for investing.com at 7:20. There was 1 star for the building permits month over month, which was good. Green over in this column usually means good for the economy. 2 stars for the building permits, also at 7:20. And then at 8:25, 2 stars, Bostic speaks. Mind you, 2 stars over here was a yellow folder on the other website. 8:30, 1 star, Chicago Fed, national activity for February. 10 o'clock, we got the new home sales, which is 3 stars over here, but it's an orange folder on the other site. 10 o'clock, 2 stars, new home sales month over month for February. And then we have at 10:30, the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index for March, 1 star. Another 1 star is Fed Governor Cook speaking. Cook wasn't even mentioned on the other site. 11:30, 1 star, 3-month bill auction and the 6-month bill auction. And then at 1 o'clock, we have 2 stars. That's the 2-year note auction. So we got a little bit of everything throughout this morning, but everything wasn't on the same on both pages, and many times it may not be. Let's look at our Adam Mancini numbers. After an 80-plus point breakout last week, SPX has been in cool-off mode since Thursday. 52.27 would be key support this week as posted, and we tested overnight, bounced to 54, then dipped. Plan today, 52.19, testing support. If bulls can't reclaim 52.27 fast of this, then sell to 52.02. So 52.19 is what I'm going to put on my chat. Okay. I'll switch this up and copy this. I am on Thinkorswim. I'm going to copy this, make it this color, and I'm just going to put 52.19. Make this red so we'll know that it's something important. And it's already doing its thing. So, and then I'll just I always call it the linchpin because it is the price that once it gets to a certain point, it's gonna make a difference. So call it as such. All right. So this is what it needs to claim. Also, for those who are doing the breakout, our candle has already started. So we are going to pull this down here for the top of that candle. Obviously, the market just opened, so we'll be adjusting these, but to just get it started. And also keep in mind that this is a gap down so far, 52.34. So this is a gap down to where we are now. So actually move this down right here. It's the top of that gap, and then it's pushed up a little bit, but I'll just put it at this last kind of close down in this area. So what we have right now is just the Mancini numbers, and then we're going to show the name on the left and keep it moving. All right. So I'll be watching these breakout points and then this Mancini area right here. All right. So we'll keep swinging back. If you have any tickers that you want looked at, be sure to drop them in the chat box. 5202 is the number at the bottom. So we got to make sure we're aware of this. And actually, this number I should have put 5227. But since it's right there anyway, we're okay. But we'll do 5227 just to be on the safe side. That's a little bit way up higher. Okay, so let us keep it pushing. We got earnings. Our earnings is happening. That's going down. So before open, we had the Bitcoin Depot, BTM, Sierra Health, and Viomi. Before open, after close today, it'll be Westport Fuel Systems, BKKT, Recor, the Metals Company, Sonara, Green Tree Hospital, and I'm not even sure what this one is. So I'm gonna front like I know. Before it open tomorrow, we got TD Synex McCormick, For your seasoning salts, Bioline prescription. I think that's what that is. Luna, another company that looks like GDS. What the Duo U? What the heck is that? Terran Orbital Elbit Systems Bragg and Volition before open. After close, the first thing for tomorrow that might be interesting is GameStop is up here. Direct Digital Holdings, which I believe is in the Bitcoin space. Ouster Progress Concentrix is a popular name. Encino Panbella Forge Rival, that's what I think that is, and another, it looks like No End Holdings. That's at the bottom. Wednesday before open. Carnival steps up to the plate. Altimmune Centos is definitely one popular in their space. Paycheck Cirrus lands in for that consumer, probably consumer discretionary or consumer staples. UniFirst, PavMed, PDS Biology or Biotechnology and Precision Biosciences. So obviously we got some healthcare related stuff that's stepping up before Wednesday open. Rumble, I've been seeing a lot of Rumble in the stock market. I don't mean Rumble as in an action verb. I mean Rumble as in the name of the company. Urban Grow, RH Braze. I think this is that's Playboy. Greenidge, Variant, Franklin Covey Sprinkler, and HB Fuller. So that's all happening after close on Wednesday. We got Thursday. I'm not sure what this first one is, but HUD 8, I believe that's in the crypto space. Azul, I've been seeing them. Consolidated Water, D-Wave, DRP, Gold Royalty, Silver Spike, which is an investment company. Affirmed, not affirmed. It was really Affamed, is what it really is, but it's spelled affirmed. That's before open on Thursday. And then after close, Energis, Vuzix, Zevra, Oxford Planet, Simtech, Dare Bio, ShareCare, Emerin, and Surfair Mobility. So we got a little bit of everything in the spaces. However, we don't have a lot of the big tech, big boy type situations. That's not to say that it'll be better or worse, but I'm saying that we don't have any of that stuff that normally, let's say last week and previous weeks during earnings created volatility. Friday is open. There is no trading on this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So we are going to keep it moving. Actually, let's take a look real quick just to see, take a sneak peek at SPX 15-minute candle, see how it's coming along. All right, so we are right here. This came into where this, what day is this? The 20th, 3/20th, closed in here. So it dropped back down into this zone. So that's what that's doing. So we got earnings out the way. E2T events this particular week. We had the Live at 5 yesterday. Got a chance to go through the market. This is actually incorrect. Options 6-week coaching, I believe, is April 1st. And also, there's not 129 days in March over here, so ignore that. That's not we're not part of any type of time sphere or Back to the Future. That's my favorite movie franchise. But anyway, so ignore that part right there. But everything else is legit. Live at the open. And we probably will, I believe, have a coaching call this Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So, Alyssa, you want to, I don't know if I got to do something, click to get you in or whatever.
Nope, you don't have to do a thing. I don't know if it's like echoing, but hey, everybody, how y'all doing? Just came out of teaching, hoping to get the students ready for their test on Friday. Already looking kind of skeptical coming off of spring break. Everybody's, forgotten all the everything. Anyway, we're here and we're going to try to get them ready by Friday. Yes, this coming week, which I guess would be Wednesday. We're going to have our regular training that we have all the time. We'll of course be live at the open all week long, and we will have options 411 6-week coaching is starting up next Monday. Promoting it this week, getting all the folks. Hey Tanya, getting all the folks ready for next Monday. Let me see if I can get a graphic up here. This may be the one I used. Come on, open up.
I gotta stop sharing.
No, you shouldn't have to.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to, but I will present and then share the screen. Once I share my screen, it will. Everybody should be able to see that. Options 4116 6 weeks live options coaching. Basically, we're going to do all the things that need to be done to get you up and started with trading options, right? There are people who are interested and don't really know where to start, and we're going to help with that. Just need somebody to kind of guide you, not just have videos to watch, because I think there's a good mix that you can do a mixed media learning. There will be some videos that you will do to prep you, and then you will go from there to live sessions where we'll talk and learn in live sessions. All righty. That's coming up next Monday. Take a look at. I'm not sure if you looked at AMD or Intel this morning. Seems to be a little bit of news surrounding those two. What is buy the rumor, sell the news? I think there's rumors at this point. Is the AMD in China is splitting with AMD, and I think the Intel thing is just Intel got some money over the weekend, right? Didn't they get the billions, something 52, 35 billion, something like that, 5 billion, something like that? They got a bunch of money basically to do some stuff under the CHIPS Act. So um, if that's going to help them, which it probably will, maybe look at those two. Besides those, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you for getting us started this morning, Jamie. Appreciate that.
Getting us started. Monday is my day.
I know Monday is your day.
Yeah,
Just wanted to make sure that you got us up and running. I appreciate it.
I still was acknowledge your presence. Tanya Day was talking about something. Hey, Arlissa, like Jamie ain't even here. Hey, Lady T. All right.
It's okay, babe. They know you here. They're glad I'm here.
Sometimes you gotta remind the player, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, continue to pray for my daughter as y'all think about my daughter. Hopefully she goes home from the hospital today. I gotta call her up to see what her morning's looking like, but hopefully she gets to go home today. She's ready to go, but I told her she gonna go home when it's the perfect time, and we ain't trying to go no quicker than they need us to go. And
You know,
that's where we are with that. hmm Back to you, Jack.
all right. I believe your screen is still sharing. Hey, Lady T. All right. So, investing.com, we took care of that. Mancini, we took care of that. Let's swing back around and take a look at what the Dow is doing. Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 0.20%. S&P 500 is down 0.34%. NASDAQ down 0.60%. Russell 2K up 0.26%. And the VIX is up slightly, 2.83%. Let's see here. Anybody have any tickers they want looked at? I brought some, brought my list of tickers anyway, but if you have any you want looked at, please feel free to drop them in the box. One more thing we want to add to this mix really quick. I'm gonna grab some of the for this past I guess we can do it this way. We'll do this past Sunday. Alyssa put in the Telegram group some of the possible trading opportunities for this upcoming week. So we're gonna I'm gonna bring that to the forefront so we can take a look see at that, and at the very least work on giving you a breakdown of what's on this screen here. I just did a copied it from a screen capture, so it's in this screen capture box. But we got put credit spreads is on everything. This is not financial advice, by the way, just to make sure we all on the same page. This is put credit spreads, so that means that we're looking for price to go up. All right. And so in this situation, we've got lower risk and we've got what we call moderate risk. All right. And so JD, MRO, BAC, which is, I believe, is Bank of America. There's Verizon, MGM Grand, TSN. I'm not sure what that is, or SLB. Dow is not the Dow Jones, but the actual company Dow. Oxy, I believe, might be Occidental, maybe. MS, the TJX, which is, as we say, Tarjay, I believe, is in that group. Disney, Oracle, and Google. All right. Now, the benefit of this list is simply the collateral, the spread is not that large. The difference between the legs. So this is a 50-cent spread or $50 spread. This is $100 here. So you're not putting a whole lot of money on the line, but at least if you get in, obviously at the right time, then you increase your chances of getting a decent premium. These are set to close this is like a weekly trade. All right. So be aware of that. The put credit spreads, we have a moderate risk for those. NCL, Cleveland Cliffs. Cleveland Cliffs actually reports I think they might have reported last week, but I know I saw their name for MSNBC as moving right now. GM, FCX, GM being General Motors, Delta Airlines, United Airlines. I think that's DVN. I forgot what that is. I believe WFC is Wells Fargo. We got Uber, the Trade Desk, Wynn, which I believe is the hotels, TSM, and Amazon, both in the tech space. Now, if you notice right here for Amazon, now it's at a 2.5. That's 2.5 spread, so that's $250 of collateral, right? So we still have $100 in here, 50-cent spread, 50-cent spread. So in terms of the spread, those are still, not at all outlandish or unable to be afforded, if you will. So that's the list that we have, and again, that is in the Telegram group. All right, our breakout has not quite happened yet. Nothing then went down up in here, so which is not necessarily a bad thing. What we do know so far is that when price came up, this is the closing price for the 20th, and so it bounced off that zone for the closing price on the 20th. But outside of that, we'll just move this down a little bit. This is the breakout bottom. These should be switched, but we just adjust those, and then we have some tickers, and we'll get started with the tickers. All right, bottom. Okay. Did anybody make money last week? I haven't heard anybody didn't say yay I won, nay I didn't. It was mixed last week. Mostly the gift I received last week was mostly my ass getting handed to me. That was the majority of last week's trading week. That was the gift that just wouldn't stop giving it last week, man. For real. But guess what happened? I ended up looking at my notes from one of my trading journals. I spent the whole weekend overhauling my trading plan, so I have confidence going into this week. So we'll see. We better see. Shoot, I ain't putting no more money in that account. All right. This is Disney Mickey Mouse. What's happening right now with Disney? Actually, we'll go this route. Let's go to monthly, and this is what it's doing on the monthly chart. This is this price point down here on $100. This was at 79 and up. This is a nice little price point right here. This is a nice strong buy zone on the monthly chart right here. Down here at 83. What is that? 78 to 83. Got what could be a chair right here with two in the base. But obviously it's trying to head up. And depending on how you look at it, there's a couple of I guess you can say points where it might try to stop based on where the prices went before. So you do have a couple levels, but in terms of our, let's say, formations, I would be putting probably these four in the base of a chair, maybe even this one right here, leg in, base leg out. But just for the strongest leg formations or the strongest formations in this area, I probably would do leg in, probably three in the base, leg out, only because this one is dipping down so far. But you can do something like that, or that. Depends on how you want to do it. But clearly, it's on an upswing on the monthly chart for the past few months. There's different people have different theories on why Disney is running up. As far as I'm concerned, they got the Marvel Universe, they got Star Wars, and the Marvel Universe includes the stuff for streaming. So back in the day, whenever you would do stuff with Marvel or Disney movies, it was usually just in the movie theater. And now they're doing like television stuff, and they got the different series going that are popular. Besides that, obviously they own ESPN. Don't think Disney ain't somehow benefiting from the sports betting because they own ESPN. So they may not be making money directly, but it ain't necessarily a bad thing for them because they own the ESPN. It's in a sell zone on the weekly chart. The other thing that was in the news with Disney was because the theme parks have returned. COVID is out, so the theme parks have returned, and they are doing very well. And don't forget, Disney also owns cruise lines. They own a cruise line, so the cruise industry is. I got a friend can't stay off of a boat. I'm like, okay, well, boat power to you, but do your thing. Yes, yo. I ain't gonna even do it. So here's what we got. We have 118.61, which is gonna put us over here in this area where there's a gap over here from 822. So let's mark that. This is on the daily chart. Again, gonna mark this. And I could have just copied that purple line down there. All right, so now we have these marked, and we'll be able to go and see if prices already went through there. But I just wanted to at least mark this over here first. And then I'm going to mark the buyer zone. The seller zone for this, which looks like could be a chair formation, or I guess it depends on how you decide to chart it. These, what I would say, this is an area of indecision. Because I've seen this charted a couple of different ways, and I'll show you the ways that I've seen it charted. I'm not saying one is right or wrong, but this is what I have seen done. So the top, I've seen it done where it's like this, right? So that's the top of the zone, and then a small leg out like this. So that'll be leg in, base, leg out. All right. The leg in is obviously longer than everything else. I've also seen people chart it this way, where it's leg in, base, and then a gap down for the leg out, because some people prefer to have as strong a leg out as possible, and that's how they chart it. Again, the thing that's important is up here, we can see that there's sellers rejecting from the zone. Another way I've seen it done and is this, where they use this as the leg in, right? And then these two in the base, and then the leg out. So I've seen it done multiple ways. Me personally, I've never been a fan of the bases using this as an entry, leg in. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'll prefer to have this leg out here. So that's just how I do it. So if you want to do leg in, base, leg out, that's one version of doing it. If you want to do it this way, leg in, 3 in the base, leg out, that's another version of doing it. Honestly, it's the difference of, what is that, $4 this way, and then this way about $2. Either way, as long as you understand that the sellers are, knowing where the sellers are is important. This is the gap that we put in. It has not gone through the gap yet, but it is close to pushing up through there. And then right above it is the next one, right? So current price has a little bit, what is it? Many rivers to cross. Many rivers to cross before it keeps going up. So it could very well get the smack down a little bit. Down here at the bottom, so the zone up here is, let me move this so y'all can see the numbers on here. We're going to show the price on the right side. Let's see, so purple lines are the gaps. So we're not going to mess with the gaps, but we're going to bring this down. Nice. I just want to bring it down low enough to be able to see what the price is going to be. All right. So we'll do show price on the right. Okie dokie. We'll do it that way. That's about right. So then down here, what I see in terms of the strongest zones, we're still on the daily chart. I see right here as the strongest. This is a nice leg in, base, leg out right here. There's another one down here that's I won't say strong, but it's definitely more of a U formation. And then right up here, close to price, something is obviously happening right here. So since that is that close, I'm just gonna put that in a. I usually do gray. It's in that zone, so we'll just mark it as being in that zone. It hasn't finished. That's why I'm a little skeptical about even. I usually don't chart anything until the final leg is finished, but this one has 2 in the base right here. So I would say leg in, 2 in the base, and then this is forming the leg out. So if you're going just strictly for zones, I would say it's in the buyer zone right here and trying to head up to this zone up here. That's how I would look at that. And when it comes to anytime I have a question about something like this, where it could be any of this combination, leg in, 1 in the base, small leg out, or 2 in the base, anything like that, you can always go down to another, or go up or go down in your chart in terms of your time frames and see if there's a formation there. So like you can go up to week. Usually I end up going up to the weekly, just because I know it's a higher concentration of prices. So right here, so we do have what this is saying on the weekly chart is this is what that formation would be. Large leg in, base, and then a gap down right here. So that's one way of doing it, is just to go up to a higher time frame, more data, and see if there's a formation there. Another way of doing it, some people will go down to the 4 hour, from the daily to the 4 hour, and see if there is a zone in there in the same, and basically doing the same thing, just on the smaller time frame. I've again seen it both. Some people go up to the monthly. The idea though is just to make sure that you are close enough to where you can see an actual formation. That's the main thing. You're just looking for a formation. Let's see, I think we might have passed it. So check. All right, we'll do it this way. I wish there was a way. If somebody knows this, let me know. Is there a way on a chart, Thinkorswim or any other charting, where you can, if you're in a chart, if you can type in like if you're already in the symbol, if you can type in a date and it'll take you to that calendar. I mean, to that candle. That'll be awesome. So this is on a I switched it to daily. I can't do what I wanted to do because I gotta put in a bunch of more days for the 4 hour. But the idea was to check for the other formations. So on the weekly, there's one. I know there's one on the 4 hour, but I will have to add in more data in order to go back that far in the 4 hour chart. But so the weekly one would definitely be fine. And so, you'll have a stronger sense of your numbers. And really all it did was put the one in there that I was referencing with the 3 in the base. That's all it did, was put all 3 in the base and took advantage of this leg out. That's what it did on the higher up chart. But all right, let's keep it popping. So buyer zone, buyer zone, buyer zone here. So this range is what I'll be focusing on. This 115 to 126 is what I'll be focusing on right now if I was in Disney. All right. Any other questions on that? Let me know. Hopefully that made sense. All right. Next up, we have BABA, Alibaba. BABA. Let's see what they're doing. Whoa, this is on the monthly chart, and their stock price ain't exactly popping right now. This is a downtrend, which is interesting because for as much as I see them in the news, and not for a bad thing, they're what is this, October of 20? They definitely been on a significant downtrend. So yeah, they have come back down to lows. I don't know. This is what, at least 5 year low. So and that's on the monthly chart. We got, pull this over. See, we're looking at on a weekly. We got a buyer zone right here that it is falling into on the weekly chart. I see 2 seller zones. The most immediate, let's say, strong formation is leg in, base, leg out for the weekly. So that would be starting at 82.88. Then there's another zone up here. Smaller, leg in. I would do leg in, 1 in the base, leg out right here. But if you wanted to include both of these in the base and make it leg in, 2 in the base, leg out, this would just be a smaller leg out. I prefer that. I prefer the stronger red candle. There's another seller zone right here on the weekly, 2 in the base as well. So that's how I look at that. I don't think this is a seller zone right here. Leg in, base, leg out. It just looks like one, but I would be going from price. I probably would just be heading up here to 82.75 on the weekly. The daily chart, we are here. It dropped into a buyer zone. There's a couple different ways to do this, but the one I would be looking at is this right here. All right. So it's in this buyer zone. So there's something happening. We're gonna do. I'll make it gray. So it's in that zone. Um, it has not failed it, right? But it has definitely fallen into the zone. Amen. Amen. So leg in. So I'll be. This is the one that I'm charting here. Leg in, base, leg out. That's a gap up. So that's a force of buyers pushing up right there. Okay, leg in, base, leg out. This is considered this is not a revisit yet, but this is. So my understanding was that because this is right next to this formation, it's part of the formation. But this right here is an isolated event. So I would consider that one revisit. If you are not with the this is close to this, so that's not one revisit, and you make it on its own, then there would be two revisits. It depends on how you want to chart it. But I will be aiming at this for the strongest leg out. If I were to go right here to this candle and use this leg in, base, leg out, it is closer to price. However, the price has already dropped down through there, so it's down through there already. So we want to get to where it's, see where the buyers are down here. You can always, I wouldn't do it in this case, but you can always lower this line to include, because remember, everything is all about zones. So you could lower the line to include it in this zone, include these prices in the zone as well. That's adding more risk to your overall trade, but this is actually a couple dollars, meaning, you wouldn't be adding that much risk, but it looks like it is on the chart. It always looks like it's $2 million worth of difference, and then you look at the chart and it'll be 50 cents. But that's what I have for that. And then we're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna do a sell zone here. Whoops. Do a sell zone here. There's a couple sell zones that's available. But I see a leg out. That's a gap down right here. Right? So I'll be doing leg in, base, leg out. That's a strong enough gap down right there. We can include that. So what's really happening is today's candle for Alibaba is bouncing off of the bottom of the gap that happened 2 days ago. So we gap down here, and now it's bouncing off that and technically this was what's called a retest. The gap right here created that gap because it tried to push up through the gap when it first dropped, and then now it's retesting it and pushing out. So, but this is what I will have as the zone it's in, and then which is I'll make them green. It'll make more sense. Make these green because it's in that zone. And then it starts getting wild after that. I don't know if anybody is currently in Alibaba, but let me tell you who money wouldn't be in there today. That would be your boy, because so we got this. Let's say we're charting this is in the zone, but man, the next thing is going to be a big. It's going to be a gap, and then you're down here. So, I guess if you shorten it, it wouldn't make a difference. But so I got leg in, base, leg out, leg in, base, leg out. So that's and then of course this is a gap that hasn't been filled yet. So you still got some support areas that are under where current price is. So there's still some more. There's enough gaps happening where it's price is kind of stuck in there, but that's how I'll be looking at that. So in a buyer zone currently, huge gap down here, another buyer zone, and then seller zone here above a gap. Retesting, currently retesting is what it looks like. Lower lows. This was the the lower highs have been happening up here, but the lows have kind of been basing really. So I don't see. Tanya said it. She thinks it might keep going down. All right, I'm going. All right, so down. All right, we got this is Micron MU. I guess technically could stand for Marquette University, but MU for Micron, and it has been on a run. Whenever you're hearing about the semiconductors, Micron has been. They've been around for a long time. As some of you know, I have an IT background and I built computers, so I'm familiar with a lot of the semiconductor stocks. Micron was what we used for. They were the most popular for memory cards, and they were the first ones that really took off with the that I saw that took off with your flash drive, especially being in a desktop computer instead of just on a USB drive. And so this recent activity with, I mean, data centers and AI, and it's not a surprise to me that they have started taking off. 93 dollar area on the monthly chart is kind of what their last resistance was, and it is up through there. So it's at highs. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, theirs is all-time highs. If I'm not, I know it's definitely for at least the past 10 years. So we got the weekly chart gives us a little bit. I think that we'll, obviously find a buyer zone, but seller zone, I don't, I'm not, unless you try to force it, which I don't. I would just kind of be playing it by ear, and just I'll be looking at put credit spreads personally if I'm trying to mess with them. We're gonna duplicate this. This was a gap. Actually, this is the week chart, so I shouldn't even put this on here. But this, what I'm doing here is leg in. I'm doing 3 in the base and the leg out on the weekly chart, and then it gap down right here. And we're gonna see what happened on the when we go to the daily. But that's how I'll be looking at that. Or you could go right here. I've seen it done this way too, where some people use, one of my accountability partners does that. It's always like this leg in is always they'll use a smaller leg in like that. I'm usually not down with that, but that's just me. All right. So got a little bit of stuff happening. Let's go to now we got a nice buyer zone formation. Today's leg is finishing, this is a nice strong leg out. Right here, we have a gap down, right? So I'm saying it wrong. This was a gap up. From where we are right now is a gap that's down, but technically it gapped up and came up here. And once it gapped, it retested this, and now it looks like it's headed up. And let's be honest, if you've been, watching the tech sector, the overall tech sector is running wild like Hulkamania. So I would say, me personally, I would just leave it at that and just go. It's past, it's at a high point. There's we got a buyer zone. I would personally leave it at that and just say, I know what my buyer zone is. Wait to find the top for the sellers, because that is definitely a buyer formation. There's another buyer zone that's not as strong, happening down here. I probably would do this one right here, just because it's stronger leg out, but that would still be, this would be one revisited in this situation. So we got some stuff happening with the tech sector. So if you're looking at Micron, you know, you probably want to also be aware of what's going on with XLK, which is a tech sector stock. Also SOXL, which is semiconductor. And if you're looking at SOXL, then you probably want to be aware of SMH and what's another one? SOXS. SOXS doesn't move the same like as it used to, but all right. So we got JPM is next. So again, for this, I would just trade it from the buyer zone and not worry about the seller zone right now. Whoops. We're gonna do JPM. Oh, first let's take a look at how SPX is doing on the 15-minute chart. Oh, decided to try to do a little breaking out. Okay, look at you. So we got this is actually bouncing off of the number that we had for Mancini. So that's one thing that's happening is what it's trying to do is trying to break up through there. Looks like the buyers are trying to push this up. There's a gap right here. And so this has pushed into this gap area. All right, so we can actually move this line up, but it's definitely trying to push up there. Okay. So obviously it's above the breakout numbers. It is right now 10:18 Eastern time. And so the first thing that we're seeing is that it has broken out. But if you've been on this call for this looking at this 15-minute stuff, we've seen this. What's the song Heard It All before? We've seen this before where it'll start rising out and then it'll turn around and start dropping back in. And so you want to watch it to be to be careful. I personally usually give it to about 10, 20. Yeah, I start looking at about 10:30 just to see what's going on. But as of right now, on the 15-minute chart for SPX, we have two retests of this gap area where it gapped down. But definitely Mancini's number that we had is what that red line is. So it's doing something right there. If you were in, I guess, well, I was gonna say somebody was in a PDT hack down here, the numbers would be kind of kind of fluctuating back and forth a little bit because this is not heading up, in the straight fashion. So but yeah, it looks like it's trying to bounce off of there and retest. So let's do JP Morgan. Monthly calendar. Don't forget, we have the 411 option 411 6-week live coaching, April 1st through May 17th. That's how my daddy used to say it. 17th, $397. Feel free to join us on. You can sign up on educatedtrader.com. Okay, so we got JP Morgan. Looks like JP Morgan is on the run up too. There is there's a U formation right here on the monthly chart. Leg in, two in the base, leg out, right there. At all-time highs. So I will be just looking at the buy zone, but this again is on a monthly. The last high point that it went through was 172. So this 172 zone is where I would expect it to come back and retest at some point. This right here, this candle right here could be considered a base candle in a cheer formation. And what we normally do, I can't say I always do it, but I know people who do it, is what we do the rectangle on board with that, but they'll go over to the line chart. And if this actually looks like a cheer you can sit in, people will consider that a cheer formation. That's That's just what I'm told. So that's what they showed me. To me, it looks like it's small enough between these two to be considered a cheer. But that's what it's looking like to the naked eye. So I normally, and again, we're still on a monthly, but I normally would acknowledge it and then do something like that. And I would just still at least acknowledge it. Normally, when I acknowledge something, even if when I acknowledge it, just essentially means I don't know what it's doing or I'm not sure, but there could be something happening in that area. So if I was charting the monthly right now, I'll be charting this as a cheer this way. And then, but again, this was a retest. I was looking over here when I did that line, but this was a resistance before and it came through there. So a retest could be imminent down the line. All right. Weekly. This could be the cheer as well. I'll just drop that here. Whoops. Activate. What I was going for. Activate. So if you did something like this, and as you can see, from today's or from our viewpoint from today on this weekly chart, I already see it may have started finding this seller's level possibly, but I was thinking leg in, base, leg out on the weekly, something like that. Some people might even put all three of these in the base. I've seen it done all kind of ways. All three of these in the base, meaning something like this. If it was down here, leg in, three in the base, leg out. Some people would, have done it that way. But if we're here, I'm okay with that. The main reason why I would be okay with this, and usually when it comes to a cheer, I'm especially okay when it bounced off of if a retest bounces off the line, then I'm usually more prone to go with it. But again, this is on the weekly. So we're going to take our next step down to the daily. So on the daily chart, these two candles back to back, one up and then one down, and a nice little rejection up here. The buyer zone on the daily is definitely not as clear as it was on the weekly, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, it's running up, so you definitely would be looking at put credit spreads, as we said earlier. If I was doing anything here, I would be looking at this cheer as looks like a cheer formation anyway. So I'll be looking at this cheer and the leg in, base, leg out. I'll be looking at that. Personally, I really don't see a sell zone. I normally don't chart it until the day is over to consider this leg because I never know what it's going to do. So I don't want to assume that it's going to be working in my favor. So it's going to work in you. I'm not assuming. So I usually wait and hold off on that. But here's what I can say is a possibility is I've seen this part done where we do this and then zero into the 4-hour chart, go down 4-hour to see if there's a formation. Closest thing we got is this. So chart that right there. My chart, right? So you figure, and a lot of this also depends on how long you plan on being in the trade too. Leg in, 3 in the base, leg out. If we go up to the daily, that's in the, within the square zone that we were looking at. So you can very, very easily do, if you so chose, show price on the right. You could choose to do it this way. Buyer zone is daily, and the seller zone is the 4 hour, right? So that's 193. Now this is just us charting. This is, whether or not it's worth your money, 3 to 1 and all the other stuff, totally different conversation. But this is definitely turned around, and this is what I'll be looking at. Then we got one more DVN, and then you shall be released to make your money in the market. DVN, Divine Energy Group. I might have been saying Devin. Y'all know how that is when people be spelling it a certain way, but pronouncing it 19 different ways. So in terms of formations, look at this. This is probably the clearest type of the pole run up flag. I don't really get to see them this clear, and so this is what will be breakout right here happening on the monthly chart. Yep, there's a seller zone right here, leg in, base, leg out. And technically, this is the buyer zone that I would say that is leaving on the monthly chart. So for the weekly, there's been some movements. I see another. I would consider it to be in this buyer zone right here. I would say that it's in this one. And why I say that? Because the first instinct would be, for me, would be to automatically skip it, but it's actually closer to that. So it's in this zone right now. This is the seller zone. And this is on the weekly chart. Then there's another strong seller zone above it. Leg in, base, leg out. That's pretty strong. What I see for the weekly in terms of the buyer zone is right here. And this will be the first one. Sorry. This will be the first buyer zone. Chair formation. Leg in, base, leg out on the chair formation. And then leg in, base, leg out would be the other one right down here. So this is zone 1, is zone 2. So there's a couple strong zones as it relates to the weekly chart in the buyer zone. And it's got some moving to do to try to get up through this one on the seller zone on the weekly, but there's a strong formation sitting right above it. And so that brings us to the daily. And daily has ugly charts. There is a I'm not sure how when it's running up like this, there's just way too many ways to, I guess, chart it incorrectly. But I will say this: when I'm charting, I try not to force anything. This what I'm looking at right now. I would be putting this in as I usually wait until the day is over before I start messing around with the third leg out. So I really don't feel comfortable. I think this might be a chair. If this continues up, let's say tomorrow, I'll be anticipating that that's a chair formation. I'm more prone to go right here as the first one. And I would just use this. You can either do, well, small leg in right here. I'm just seeing the strong leg out. So doing a strong leg in won't work on this one. But if you're doing it, let me do it this way. Some of these is hard to see. Leg in, base, leg out is one way of doing that. Again, there's always like a couple different ways people could do it. And if you don't want to do it that way, I would at least acknowledge that there are buyers here. Even if you don't want to chart it, let's say a traditional way, I would at least acknowledge the buyers and then do it this way. Make sure we put the gap that's in there. So even if you're just acknowledging it, there's still a gap under it. And then after that, leg in, base, leg out for a chair formation is how I would look at that. Now, again, this is not investment advice. It's number one. Number two, do not assume that I'm right. Matter of fact, I'll prefer you go the opposite and assume that I'm wrong. Please. So please make sure you do your own looking. I am okay to put this up here, not as a chart, but just to say that there's something that could be happening right there. So I will do that. But if it was green on my calendar, that means I consider it a buyer zone. Next up is just this was a gap out. Gap down, I should say. So leg in, base, leg out. With a gap here. Right? So this gap down ended up having a retest right here. The retest didn't work and it kept dropping. I do not consider this some people might consider that the base of a chair formation. I'm not sure about that one, but I will say something is happening right here. So something's going on with this. In this section. Can't tell what, but let's see. Yeah, it's responding to something over there, but I don't see it as a formation. In other words, I guess you could say leg in, this one in the base, leg out, but I've always been told that if the middle candle, it shouldn't be longer than the one that's on the out, and this looks like it's on that level. So, but obviously something is happening. Yeah, so I'll be okay with something or other in this area. Definitely a base. Something's happening, possibly base. Waiting for this to form, but seller zone and the gap above it. So this could very well be it beginning to base or not. So, but if you really want to get into the weeds with this, since it's energy, XLE, the sector, you might want to, look at XLE, the sector ETF. So we'll swing back around to SPX and then we out. All right, 4 hours. Start with the chart. Startwiththechart.com. Feel free to. That's a free resource for you if you are interested in charting, starting the charting, brushing up on charting, whatever the phrases are. But it's definitely something I would take advantage of. I have taken advantage of. I can't even say I would. I actually have. So as we were saying from the breakout, I was saying sometimes it'll go up and then come back down, and that's what's happening here. So it's retesting the gap, and then it's retesting this breakout line. So this is 1036. So this is something to definitely watch. Again, not investment advice. At the rate it's going, this almost feels like a day that where it might be consolidating or just not moving a whole bunch. So that could happen. But as of right now, if you're trading the breakout strategy, it has not done any pushing in any major direction. All right. So let us, and I believe we got to all of the tickers that I can see. Yep. Looks like we hit everything. All right. So our E2T daily declaration. By faith, I am a successful trader. I'm a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions from our portfolios. Money likes me. Dinero me encanta. Because money is comfortable around me, it is drawn to me. E2T daily prayer. Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. Thank you for everybody who stuck around. If you got something out of today's session, please click like. Feel free to subscribe. Our membership also is available at educatortotrader.com. All right, we will bid you adieu. And as always, stay green. Let's get this money. You all have a great day.